just kidding. I'm just honestly just kidding. I'm just trolling some of you guys. All jokes aside, you guys, I started OnlyFans again, and we really should talk about it. I think regardless of how you think or feel about the adult entertainment industry, OnlyFans, the spectrum of that industry, the morality and the plausibility of trying to earn additional and or primary income from such a thing as opposed to traditional income methods. I just think that if we can together keep our heads level enough to be honest, operate from a space of reason, and try to remove as much emotion from this whole topic as we possibly can, we can really learn something, and we can kind of create something together here that's honest and interesting and new, and that might promote some dialogue between people who are living this life like I'm dabbling in, but are afraid to let anyone know because of the fear of judgment and the fear of being chastised by XYZ people, places, things, the internet, their parents, their friends. There's something very interesting available to us here if we stay together, and if we can come at it from a place of calm and kindness. That's just my opinion. That's my little woo-woo spiel. Before we talk about the fact that I did start OnlyFans again, I'm excited to be back on OnlyFans, even if it's just for the experience and for this is for sure, for the content that's going to come out of me on here, because this is polarizing. It's the most interesting content I've ever put out as far as your guys' response. A lot of people were so upset last time, but the engagement was insane. So clearly this strikes an interesting nerve and or a curiosity nerve for a lot of people, which is okay, which is good. Life is short. Let's talk about everything. Look, I get it and I understand. I'm known on here primarily as a mental health YouTuber, toss in addiction, experience recovery, and some wellness stuff, some TRT stuff, but being someone who's working in or taking part of the pie of the adult entertainment industry, given what I think a lot of people think of me or how I've projected myself over the years, it makes sense that it would be kind of confusing, right? And I get that. And I'm at peace with that. I'm at peace with that. But I want to address that. So if you're someone watching this being like, why would you be on OnlyFans? I get it. It's different. If knowing that I am choosing to do this just really upsets you, explore that, right? Think about that, explore that, talk about it, but maybe take a breather from me or do whatever you have to do to not be needlessly triggered. My goal here is not to trigger you, but I am fascinated to explore why people get so activated about this sort of thing. Now, I don't pretend to have all the answers, but what I do have is a level head and a calm disposition to talk about this stuff. So I did something last year that wound up being more bold in the eyes of some, certainly the eyes of the outspoken, than I would have guessed. I admitted that I wanted a new car. I wanted a Corvette, wanted to do something fun and just something just for me. But I didn't want to use any of the money I was making from my coaching at CrossFit, from my editing, and from my YouTube videos. I was like, I want to create this additional income stream. And a friend of mine was like, dude, you should consider OnlyFans. And I was like, I didn't know what it was, but I found out what it was, and I thought it was awesome. I thought it was rad. And as far as the potential to make quick money on your own terms, right? Quick money on your own terms. And it was just kind of exciting to explore a totally different side of myself. I'd been doing the same old thing for a long time. I was interested, beyond curious, and so I did it. And it ruffled the feathers of a handful of people, a large handful of people here on YouTube. Now, I don't want to dismiss the fact that plenty of people were like, do whatever you want. But a lot of people were volatile, to say the least, and negative, and said some intense things in the comments section, as people tend to do, particularly online where they can hide behind an alias or an avatar. And that fascinated me. Now, in my personal life, other than the people that are connected with me wanting to make sure that I was doing okay, like, hey, have you thought this through? Are you on the same page as your wife? Are you doing this for healthy reasons? And other than having a circle that's comfortable saying that to me and checking in on me in that way, a lot of people were very positive. But I did have a few people, a couple counselors, and a couple friend acquaintances that were really upset about it. And I use the word upset because I do think there's a significant difference between being concerned and wanting to have a conversation versus being triggered emotionally and not necessarily knowing what to do with it other than to put that emotion on the person. And so I had a counselor reach out and say I was disgracing myself and I was ruining my reputation. And she reminded me, much like this other acquaintance friend did, that I was a mental health advocate, a mental health YouTuber. This wasn't acceptable behavior. As a grown-up, I was like, interesting, like not acceptable behavior. So what is and what isn't acceptable behavior became this thing that I'm just thoroughly interested in, right? And she told me that I was going to ruin any chance I had for working in the mental health field in the future and things like that. And I never even told her that I ever wanted to. Or she said I might ruin this channel or something like that. And I thought that was curious as well, because as much as some people might consider me to be a mental health YouTuber, I like to think of myself as just a man on a journey of life, sharing what he can with whomever might listen. Do I want to connect with you on sensitive topics? Of course, but do I want to be able to share little corners of my brain and things that most people are afraid to talk about? Yeah, I want to do that too. I'm just Noah. That's all I am. She even said, this counselor in particular, she goes, look, sure, what do I think it would be fun to go shaking my tits all over the internet, make a couple bucks in a cheap way? Sure, why not? But then, I'll never be able to have a real job. She was upset. And that was really interesting. And another counselor who wanted to check in on me when they found out that I decided to do this was worried about my relationship. I wanted to make sure that I had set boundaries, or that boundaries had been set with my wife, which they had. But he also was worried about my reputation, and he was worried about what my kids would think of me. I thought that was interesting. He goes, what will your kids think of you someday if they look back and find out that their dad did OnlyFans? And so at the time, I had barely posted anything. I was like, what do people exactly think OnlyFans exclusively is or has to be? What is the fear of OnlyFans? How much of it is personal bias? How much of it is legitimate as far as like an understanding, psychologically speaking, sociologically speaking, financially speaking? Like, is there something I genuinely don't know and this is something I should look into? I was open to it, but the response seemed aggressive from some people. And admittedly, being new to that field, the field of shaking my tail feathers, I kind of took a step back. I was like, okay, look, maybe this isn't good. And so I kind of, just to play it safe, I stopped. And I thought about it ever since. Like, why did I stop specifically? Did I stop to make other people happy, to appease other people? Did I stop out of fear of scrutiny or ridicule? Am I in a space where the projections, thoughts, concerns, and the expressed feelings of others is more important to me than my own personal wants, my thoughts, my concerns, or lack of concerns? Was I stopping for the right reasons? And I always wasn't sure, to be honest. I always wasn't sure about that. It's been on my mind ever since. What triggers people and why? Is there hypocrisy involved in this whole adult entertainment industry? How many of the people that were upset or are currently getting re-upset or at least re-concerned or whatever, how many of you have ever partaken in adult entertainment in any level, in any way, shape, or form? And if you have partaken or continue to, how very interesting that a personal decision from another man would yield such anger or such volatility, right? If you happen to be someone who struggles to express themselves in a kind way. I just find that so fascinating. And I think there's some good conversations to be had here about how we treat people and the stigma we put on people and the boxes we put people into based on their personal decisions. There are so many people right now doing things behind closed doors, either for personal pleasure, personal reasons, things that are taboo. There are people doing things for professional reasons, for financial reasons that they don't think they can talk about because of hostility, volatility, anger, and other people's struggle to be open-minded and be calm. They don't talk about it. They keep it to themselves almost exclusively. And that's too bad, because I know enough people and have met enough people to know we all have our little things, our little wants, our little private things, and maybe I'm missing the boat. And the whole idea is we keep this stuff private, but I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good for all of us to be pretending to be something we think society wants us to be. And if we're not, we'll be what? Ostracized or outcasted for being different. Look, I personally know multiple people right now in my general circle of friends that are on OnlyFans, that have been on OnlyFans, who would not dare tell a soul because of fear of it hurting them. And that sucks. And I respect their privacy, but I don't want to be another silent partner in this exploration of life to appease other people. It just doesn't make sense to me, given my situation and my wants. I would rather do it head on with you guys and be recklessly myself, be honest to myself first and foremost, but be open to whomever might want to learn about this or be curious about this. I want there to be space for honesty on this platform. So as this has been wrestling up in me kind of quietly, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try again. My wife and I talked about our finances a little bit, and we're doing okay. I am currently essentially the sole financial provider for our family. She's a full-time kick-ass student, by the way, but a full-time student at Oregon State University. She's coming up on a degree in kinesiology. I think she's minoring in psychology, heading on to be a physical therapist. So I'm essentially stripping to put her through school, guys. And how is that not the most American thing you've ever heard of? But anyway, I could use a little extra money. I was kind of brainstorming what I might or might not do. And it always came back to my mind, like, man, that OnlyFans thing, that was entertaining, that was interesting, that was provocative. Not just on the platform, but here, people were chattering about that. I mean, it was tanking subscribers. I'm going to lose so many more subs here for people that just can't wrap their head around this or think it's wrong or beneath me or whatever your thoughts are. But it's interesting. No one can deny that. And so I decided to do it again. I want to keep that Corvette if I can. I think it's beautiful. It's so much fun. And I want to make some extra money. Now, there is a totally fair chance that I try this again and I come to the same conclusion one way or another, that maybe it's not quite right for me. Maybe it makes me not feel so good inside, or it disrupts my life or my sleep or any of my relationships, things like that. And we'll keep our finger on the pulse of those possibilities, of course. But we will not be afraid. We as in me. I will not be afraid to just calmly chat with you guys about what's actually happening, the things I'm experimenting with and experiencing, what my thoughts are, what the actual tangible repercussions. That sounds kind of negative, but the tangible outcomes. I want to be open with you guys, and I hope you want that too. Needless to say, the OnlyFans link is in the description below, but you know who you are if it's something you're interested in. And if you're curious, you can be curious. It's going to be free. I'm not going to charge any money for it. There will be some paywall content, but I imagine most of the stuff I post will be fun, frivolous, and playful, and as sexy as I think I can pull off, but it'll be free. And let's have a conversation, and let's not be afraid of each other, and let's not get lost in too much anger, and we'll go from there. I look forward to responding a ton to the comments on videos like this. However, if you've made it this far, be mindful that if you struggle to communicate in a nice way, even if it's a way that disagrees with me, or if you have strong thoughts about this, I won't be able to respond to anyone being outright rude or ugly. And I'll remove those people and ban them from the channel as necessary. But if you have strong opinions for or against this sort of thing, and you can just communicate calmly and respectfully about what you think, why you think it, let's do it. And I'd love to learn more about where you're coming from and what you think about this, because I'm not so ignorant as to say that that there are some people, I imagine particularly young people, who would get involved in OnlyFans, but they have a poor degree of self-esteem and self-worth. They maybe haven't acquired any life skills yet, and they're identity may be too wrapped up in this sort of thing, which could lead to psychological issues, mental health issues. I think those things are real, and I think intentions and motivations should be addressed for this sort of thing. And I do think you have to have a pretty strong mental constitution to do this sort of thing, but be detached from the potential pitfalls of creating content like this. At the same time, I do believe there is a space where people can create an OnlyFans like I'm going to, have fun, have it be an expression of human physicality and sexuality in a healthy way on their own terms, from the safety of their home, make some extra money, invest that and use that how they might want to improve their lives, and they shouldn't be ridiculed or judged about it or mistreated for it. And it can be a positive thing if you've done some checks and balances with some of the stuff I mentioned to protect your mental health, protect your psychological health and your sense of self with boundaries and good conversations and stuff like that. But it starts with conversations. That's what I think. So I'm back on OnlyFans. Wifey is pumped about it. She's a freaking hammer. I love her. We've got our boundaries, and we'll talk more about that because I understand that some people think it's crazy that a woman could be supportive, but I'm a different type of guy. I've been a different type of guy for a long time. I make a living in a different type of way, but I landed a girl who's known who I am and what I'm about for a very long time. She supports me, and we shouldn't feel sorry for her. She's not a victim, I promise. She's okay. So I've said a lot. If you've made it this far, just to be tongue in cheek, go ahead and put booty, B-O-O-T-Y, booty, in the comment section, accompanied by whatever comment you might have. And if this is the last time I see you, that's okay too, because I want you guys here. I do, but I don't need you guys here. And that's a good thing. It's a healthy thing. Okay, OnlyFans Part 2. Let's see how this goes. I want to see if I can make 50 grand between now and December 31st. That's like a thought that just popped into my head. Could I make, let's say, 40 to 50 grand? How much of that can I invest? How much can I put in savings? Can I pay off the car? Pay for my wife's school? These are some of my wants. We'll talk more about them. I care about you guys. I respect you guys. And I thank you guys for those of you that are able to handle a video like this, a conversation like this. I thank you. I'm going to try and put this rockin' bod to work for a couple more years before I retire and lose my OnlyFans job to a much younger and much hotter guy. Just kind of, if there's any video ideas surrounding this that you guys want, leave them in the comment section below. The only video ideas I can ever think of anymore are just like mental health topics that I think are very safe, and that's okay. They still need to be discussed. I still want to discuss them, but your boy's burnt out and bored of that topic.